Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. I'm from Beijing, China. I go to a private university.
Hello everyone, this is Akshay. I'm from Mumbai, India. I go to a public university.
My name is Fatima, originally from Nigeria. I go to an HBCU, meaning historically Black colleges.
My name is Nguyen, and I'm from Vietnam. I go to a community college.
I want to be able to influence the world, and the United States stands out as a pace setter in research. I'm so excited about being here.
In my opinion, US degree is extremely impressive, and that makes studying abroad in the US an excellent choice.
There are many types of institutions in the United States.
I think it's just so unique that there's so many to choose from.
I had to make a major choice between the type of university that I was supposed to attend. The major factor that I considered was the scholarship opportunities that were available and the alumni network.
I've heard so much about the HBCUs as historically Black colleges. I chose those because I wanted a school that really represents me.
As a humanities student, I prefer seminars instead of lectures because I find myself better understand the material if we get to discuss it in class. That led into my decision of going to a private university.
I chose a community college to study because most of the community college offer affordable costs, and they often offer a lot of majors you can choose from.
Some of the things I find that are in common between different types of institutions in the US is that the curriculum are more comprehensive.
It is more practical oriented that really helps you get hands-on experience about what you're learning.
Students can benefit from forward-thinking technology and modern facilities.
And I love the diversity, the fact that it's a melting pot for everywhere in the world. And so it's an awesome experience for me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. We are very happy to have you today with us. Thank you so much for subscribing to our event and for watching us. So today we have another interesting webinar that we have prepared for you guys as part of the research process. And first of all, I would just like to point out on the services that Education USA Virtual is providing. So we are here to offer you comprehensive and interesting information about your application in the United States. So if you are currently seeking for help to understand better the steps that you should consider when applying for your studies in the US, you can look for the advisor in the region where you are located currently, and we would help you with pleasure and we will guide you through this process. As I've mentioned previously, today we're having another interesting webinar with the topic that is considered very, very relevant for those who are in their research process. And we have Ayad Al-Fattal from Riverside University, and the topic is the accreditation. So you all know, guys, that during the research process, you should consider also this major factor that would make you to decide choosing for a university specifically. And I would highly encourage you to submit your question if you have, if you have some of them related specifically to accreditation. I'm more than sure that Ayad will give you a lot of details on this. And he has prepared for us an interesting presentation, but first of all, I will let him introduce himself. Thank you, Ayad, very much for participating in our today's webinar.
Thank you so much, Alina and Education USA for putting this together and the opportunity to speak with international students interested in coming to study in the United States. My name is Iyad Al-Fattal. I was an international student, like many of you guys aspiring to study in the United States. I was born in Morocco, but I had my bachelor degree from Syria, my master's degree from England, and my doctoral degree from the USA. So I've lived education in different countries. Probably many of you will have even more interesting stories to tell after your experience studying in the United States. Definitely, college choice is not an easy thing. It's a major factor that will affect a lot of your experience and probably will shape your future. So it's definitely a good thing to spend some time and invest some energy into making the right choice. And today's topic is relevant to college choice. We will be talking about accreditation. Accreditation can probably sound very complex and scary, but in reality, it's important that we know the basics at least and know how to figure out and find out what accredited programs are and which campuses we should go to or would be a better choice for us. So let's go ahead, Alina, and open that presentation. If you can go to the second slide, which is an introduction. Yes. So basically, in today's webinar, we will talk about accreditation, and the definition of accreditation is the process that evaluates and ensures the quality and standards of educational institutions and programs. And there is a distinction between quality of institutions and programs, and we will talk more about this during the presentation. So definitely. Accreditation is very important because it establishes the credibility and supports the student's success and ensures the ability and eligibility for employment. So if you go, what we mean by that is if you go and you have a degree from an accredited campus, college or university, an accredited program, you're eligible for employment. You can go and get employed, and your degree means that you have the qualification and the skills to practice. If you don't go to an accredited program, very likely you will probably face difficulty in employment. And this is in the United States and possibly as well in other countries, because even if you return to your country with a degree from a non-accredited program or campus, your probably degree will be evaluated against a list of accredited programs in the US, and that would mean that it's that certificate that you earn doesn't mean anything or not at all. So that's as well key. So the purpose of today's presentation, I'll explain to you the types of accreditation. I'll talk to you about the process, and I'll talk more as well about the significance as we go through. Next slide, please, Elena. Okay, so before I talk about accreditation, I just want to make sure that we understand a few terms about the types of universities and colleges, because before we talk about accreditation, there can be some confusion about the terminology. Since one of the ways to put or to group universities and colleges is in terms of their functions. So we have universities and colleges that are called national universities and colleges, national universities and colleges, and we have regional universities and colleges, and we have community colleges. The difference between these three types of institutions, national universities have research focus. They are more centered on probably advanced programs like doctoral programs, while regional universities and colleges, they focus on teaching rather than research. So students who go to regional universities will probably have a better experience in the classroom learning how to do things, while if you go to a national university, you'll probably have a better experience and opportunity to be involved in research. National universities, like I said, normally have a lot of advanced degrees like doctoral degrees, and regional universities normally don't. The third type is community colleges, and community colleges typically provide 2-year associate degree. We know that in the United States, we have associate degree, which is 2 years. Then we have a bachelor degree, which is 4 years, then master's, 2 more years, then doctoral degree, sometimes 3 or 5 more years. So this is important. Generally speaking, national universities are more prestigious, and examples are like UC LA, UC Berkeley, University of California. All of the 9 campuses in California, all of them are national universities, research focused. Regional universities like California State University, there are 23 campuses in California. All of them are regional. They're focused on teaching. Not that the quality is less or more than the national universities and the UC, but their focus is different. and the experience is different studying at a regional university. Community colleges provide, like I said, associate degrees. They're focused on teaching similar to regional universities, and they provide an accessible, affordable pathway for students who don't have probably that amount of money or big amounts of money to spend studying at regional or national universities. In reality, community colleges are the most affordable, regional more expensive, national the most expensive of the three types here. So this is the first distinction that I want us to put in mind: national university, regional university, and community colleges. Let's go to the next slide, Alina. Okay, so we've talked about types of institutions, and we said that there is national and regional. Accreditation also uses the same terminology, national and regional accreditation, but here a big confusion comes, because national accreditation actually is less prestigious and less important than regional accreditation. In the United States, regional accreditation is the golden standard. If somebody wants to go to a university or college and have their credit transfer to other colleges, if they want to be able to be eligible for employment, maybe you notice when you apply for jobs in the United States, they will say bachelor degree or master's degree from a regionally accredited institution. So they don't recognize national in employment in a lot of situations, especially if you're looking for something in the public sector. Private sector sometimes is okay, but regional accreditation actually is the golden standard, where any university or college seeks to achieve regional accreditation. If they can't achieve regional accreditation, probably they will achieve or seek national accreditation. The third type of accreditation that is also important is called programmatic accreditation, which is program specific. So let's say there is a university or a college that achieved regional accreditation, and that is campus-wide. So they have campus-wide accreditation for all of their programs, all of their processes are good. However, there is an additional accreditation for specific programs. So if you want to study, for example, medicine, if you want to study nursing, if you want to study engineering, architecture, you might want to go to a program that is regionally accredited, as well as the program in itself is accredited by the specific accrediting body for that field of study. We will talk a little bit more. I know that's starting to get confusing and complex. I'll talk more. I will give us more real-life examples as we go so that I make things easier for you. But for now, what I want you to remember is that national universities probably more prestigious than regional. However, in accreditation, it's the opposite. Regional accreditation is the better accreditation than the national accreditation. If you study at a nationally accredited college or university, maybe you will not be able to transfer your credit to other colleges or universities that are regionally accredited, and the other way is possible. So if you study at regional, you transfer to national easily. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, please, Alina. So the accrediting bodies, like who is in charge? Who is setting the rules? How do they come together as accrediting bodies, and how do they supervise the quality of education at higher education institutions in the U.S.? First, we need to know that there is a department in the United States called U.S. Department of Education. In reality, U.S. Department of Education doesn't interfere with academic quality. It actually needs to know that there is quality so that they provide federal funding, but they seek to recognize that quality through another organization, which is non-for-profit, non-governmental, called Council of Higher Education Accreditation, CHIA. So CHIA is actually the body which looks into and sets the standards for accrediting bodies. Okay, so or accrediting agencies. It's not the accrediting agency itself, but it sets the standards for those organizations which are the accrediting bodies. So we have two entities, U.S. Department of State and CHIA. And of these two come the accrediting bodies. If we can go to the next slide, please. Alina? Yes. So SHIA works with 6 different regional accrediting bodies. And these are the important ones. So if you want to study in the United States, you want the college or university to be absolutely accredited by one of these 6. Each accrediting agency of these oversees a certain geographic location in the United States. So you need to look for where am I going to study, which state am I going to go to, and is that campus within that state approved by one of these 6 entities? And probably the most popular, or the one that everybody might know about, called WASC, which is responsible for California. And there's another. WASC has divided into 2 bodies or 2 agencies. One is called ACCJC, which is responsible for community colleges in California. So these are the 6 accrediting bodies. If we can go to the next slide, Alina. In the next slide, I help show in this picture each of the 6 regional accrediting body agencies or bodies, and which states they're responsible for. Next slide. Okay. Now, we talked about regional accreditation, and this is regional accreditation in college choice is a must. At least this is what I personally recommend for international students, because they need to know that this program has a rigor. We need to remember that in the United States there are more than 6,000 colleges and universities, and it's very difficult. You don't want to end up going to a for-profit college or university that is not accredited, and your degree at the end will not mean much. So definitely regional accreditation. And in addition to regional accreditation, if you're going to study in a field, if the student is going to study in a field that has specific accreditation for that program, maybe it's a good idea as well to check that. And here I list some examples for you. If you, for example, want to study engineering, you probably want to see if the program is ABET accredited. If you want to study business, AACSB accredited, and so on and so forth. So I put here a list of the most common ones. If you want to study medicine, for example, it's called LCME. It's in the bottom of the list here. You can check these. Of course, there are so many of them because there are so many fields of study. But I will help you. I'll help guide you to a link where you can find out a full list of these accrediting bodies. If we can go to the next slide. So what is the process like? How do universities and colleges acquire accreditation? So first, just to remember, we talked about CHIA and U.S. Department of Education. These recognize regional, national, and programmatic accrediting agencies, and these oversee the quality of colleges, of academic programs, colleges, and universities, as well as the entire process. So how does accreditation happen? How does a college or university get accredited? Next slide, Alina. Thank you so much. So the process is as follows. If a university or a college wants to be accredited, they need to start with something which is called self-study. They need to review their programs. They need to see if they meet the standards that are set by the accrediting agencies. So accrediting agencies say, for example, students learn how to do this. Students are able to have critical thinking. So whatever the standards set by those accrediting agencies, the university or the college first starts with a self-study where they kind of like look into their own processes and report if they think that they are meeting those standards. So this is followed by the next step of accreditation, which is site visits. So the accrediting agencies go and visit the universities and colleges, and they check if they do what they say they do. So if they say that we do this way and that's how we meet, so we need to go and check. So accrediting agencies go and visit universities and colleges, then they go back and they evaluate and write a report and decide. So the fourth step is the decision, which is accreditation granted, denied, or conditionally approved. Conditionally approved means they are accredited, but they have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever those things that they need to meet the standards. Then there is continuous monitoring for the institution periodically. Next slide, Alina. So what are the benefits of accreditation? Why should we care about accreditation? Of course, it's an assurance of quality of education because the United States is different from some countries where education probably is a public function where the government provides a lot of the education. Private sector is not involved. In the United States, it's a free country where both public and private institutions provide higher education. And sometimes there are for-profits and there are non-for-profits. Non-for-profits probably they're not after making money. There are for-profits. So we need to make sure that at least a certain level of quality is given to students. So the first is assurance of quality. The second is transferability of credits. And I spoke about this a little bit. If a student studies, say, for example, a bachelor degree at a non-accredited, non-regionally accredited program, then they want to do a master's degree, probably they will not be accepted at a regionally accredited university. So you want to be able to transfer credit, you want to be able to maybe do the next level of your higher education. So transferability is important. Third is access to federal financial aid. This is for domestic students, but it's associated with a lot of other things because if a campus, if a college or university doesn't have access to federal funding, it probably will have less resources available in the campus overall. Next, enhance institutional reputation, and finally support student and employer confidence. So you will find a lot of informed employers will list the requirement of a degree from regionally accredited college or university for the employment. Next slide, Alina. So now we know that accreditation is very important. How can we verify? How can we check that that a college or university is accredited? First, remember that I said that there are a lot of accrediting bodies. Only regional accrediting bodies are 6. And if we're talking about programmatic accrediting bodies, there are so many. I don't know all of them, to tell you the truth, because there are so many and they're specialized in different areas. But there is a list that can help us check what those are. And this is the list that is from CHIA or the Department of Education. And they list for you those bodies that are recognized to accredit programs, because you don't want to go to a college that says I'm accredited by my friend or by my neighbor, or I'm accredited by a non-accredited agency. So accreditation needs, to be coming from a recognized body. So if you want to know the recognized bodies for accreditation, like I said, WASC and other ones, then there is a list, and I put the link for you. You can check that through SHIA website or the Department of Education. So the second thing is you can confirm the accreditation of the campus or university through the Department of Education database. So they have a database, and I put the link for you here, and you can go and you can check. During this webinar, I will do an exercise with you, and I will show you in a little bit how we can go and figure out the accreditation of program through a couple of case studies. So next slide, Alina. Okay. So as international students, why do we need accreditation? I probably spoke about this a little bit uh, because there are so many colleges and universities, like I mentioned, in the United States, 6,000. How can you choose the right one? How can you choose a good one? You need to filter a little bit. So let's first look at colleges that are accredited because there is a certain level of quality assured during our experience. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it's a requirement by the Department of State that international students who come to the United States to study, they come to study in accredited programs. So accredited programs can have the ability to sponsor international students I-20 and F1 visa. Non-accredited programs normally don't, and I say normally because there are always exceptions. And sometimes non-accredited colleges or universities work with accredited ones so that they can have a program which is shared, or that kind of nature. But for you, for the safety, for international student safety of mind, if you go to an accredited program, typically they would have the ability to do a sponsorship for F1 and visa. And the second thing as well, another thing, you want your degree, if you go back, you want your degree to be recognized. And ministries of education or departments of education worldwide, they check degrees with students' degrees coming from abroad. They want to see if that degree means anything. So they will go against lists of accredited programs and universities, and they will be able to recognize that degree. I went through that process after my master's degree when I went back to my home country, went through the process, and the process can be challenging because they require a lot of documentation, they require a lot of proofs, and they definitely have the list of accredited programs and universities from all of the countries where students come from. So these are the main things. I mean, you want to go to a good quality program. You want your degree to have use when you go back. You want it to be recognized, and you want as well to be able to get a visa and come to the United States. So those are main reasons for choosing an accredited university. Next slide, Alina. Okay, so let's go now through a couple of myths and try to see if we can find out. So the first myth is all U.S. colleges and universities are accredited. Of course not. Some universities and colleges they work without accreditation. So we have to find out. Like I said, there are 6,000. Some of them go for the easier accreditation or non-recognized accreditation, but actual serious colleges and universities, they would have regional accreditation. The second myth is national accreditation is better than regional, and I spoke about this a number of times. While national universities are more prestigious typically than regional universities, regional accreditation is the golden standard, is more important than national accreditation. Next slide. Okay, so let's do some practice now, and let's see if we've learned something. So we have a case study here, and this is Sophia. She's an international student from Ukraine, and she aspires to become a nurse and plans to practice either in her home country or in the United States after graduation. She has been admitted to Riverside City College. Is RCC a good college for achieving her career goals? Of course, if Sophia wants to go back and work in Ukraine, probably she doesn't have to go through a lot of research. She just probably needs to check in her home country if that particular college or RCC in this situation is recognized. But if she has aspirations to possibly work in the United States or gain some practical experience before she goes back, she probably needs an accredited program. So how can we do this? How can we check if this program is accredited or this college is accredited for Alina? So like I said, I've put for us the Department of Education database. And there is a link here. So if you want to practice with me, you can go ahead and click on the link and go to that website. And I'll try to share the screen from my end. Let me see if I can share from here. I'll do the search together with us. Okay. Okay, so this is the database. This is the website, and I want to type here Riverside City College. Okay, this is the Department of Education, and I type Riverside City College. Then comes Riverside City College. This is the entry here. So I press this, and I have here Accrediting Commission for Community and Junior Colleges. So this is the accreditor. This is accredited since 1952. Next review date. So now it's accredited, and it has a review in a couple of years from now. Review is normal. They always do review. Okay, you can press this for more details. Okay, you can read renewal, everything in compliance and that kind of thing. Now, remember the programmatic accreditation. I said that this is another important thing. Okay, so programmatic accreditation, accreditor is Accrediting Commission for Education and Nursing. Okay, this is the one. And nursing associate degree programs accredited since 1982. Next review. So it is accredited as well for nursing. So this is an accredited college. I mean, the degree here will be recognized, and it's an easy pathway for Alina to either go back to her home country or work in the United States after graduation. Alina, can you go to the next slide with the second case study? Yes, case study 2 now. This one. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is another case study. Now, Laura is an international student from Egypt with a passion for architecture. She has applied for several colleges and universities in the United States and has been accepted to both California State Polytechnic University and Cal State Pomona or Cal Poly Pomona and University of San Diego. So two campuses have accepted her. So the questions here are the architecture programs at both institutions accredited? Which institution would provide her with a more streamlined pathway to licensing in the field of architecture? Okay, so this is also an interesting case because the reason is that California State Polytechnic University Pomona, Cal Poly Pomona, this is a regional university, while University of San Diego is a national university. And like I said, national universities have more prestigious standing. They have more world reputation. Cal Poly Pomona is regional. However, if we want to dig deep and see which is the better option for Laura, in reality, we will find that Cal Poly Pomona is better option for Laura. Let's do this search together. Let's go back to our database. Let's go back to our database, and I will share the screen one more time from my end. Okay, let me see. Okay, so are you able to see my screen? Yes, I think you are. Okay, so if I go to University of San Diego, okay, so I found University of San Diego, and if I click here on University of San Diego, I can see that it has WASC accreditation, which is great. WASC accreditation is the regional accreditation for universities in California. Let's try to see if the specific program architecture has accreditation. American Association of Marriage and Family, American Bar Association, this is for law, Commission on Collegiate Nursing, they have for nursing, Commission on Education Language Program Accreditation, National Council of Accreditation of Teacher Education. So they don't have the architectural program accreditation. Okay, so they have a program in architecture, but they don't have the accreditation for that particular program. Their campus-wide is accredited by WASC, but they don't have accreditation for architecture. Okay, let's try to see. Let's see Pomona, Cal Poly Pomona. Okay. So Cal Poly Pomona, they have the WASC. Let's see the Programmatic, Academy of Nutrition, Commission on English Language. Okay, let's go back. Not this one. Okay, so okay. So in short, yes, I mean they have the accreditation, they have the architectural program accreditation, and it can be an easier pathway. It can be an easier pathway for Laura. If we can go back to the slides, please, Alina. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so while both institutions here, I say this is the solution. While both institutions, University of San Diego and Cal Poly Pomona, are regionally accredited by WASC, to determine the accreditation or the best choice for her, we need to look at the programmatic accreditation. Cal Poly Pomona has NAAB accreditation, NAAB, which is going to be making the program for Laura easier after she graduates if she wants to have a license after her degree. If she goes to a non-accredited program, she will have to do additional requirements for her license to become an architect, and actually doesn't mean, I mean, the prestige or the ranking of a university doesn't have direct correlation with accreditation. It's a little bit more complex than that. And I give us an example. My brother is an dentist, and when he wanted to study at UCLA, University of California, LA, very prestigious, a top university in the world, he had the option of going to the same university. They have two programs, one an accredited program for dentists, and the other is non-accredited. So within the same campus, they have two programs. They have some distinction between the two programs, and sometimes students prefer to do this or that depending on their needs. So it's a little bit more complex than that. Let's go to the next slide, Alina. Okay. So accreditation is essential for quality assurance in U.S. higher education. Students and parents must verify accreditation before enrolling. Different types of accreditation serve different purposes but are equally critical. So these are our major takeaways, and I've provided us with a link. And what we can do is we can always check the website. We can always check the website for colleges and universities to review the accreditation status. We can always verify through the Department of Education database list that I provided you with. So this is it. Next slide, Alina. This is it for my webinar today. Thank you so much for attending, and I'll now open the floor for questions and answers.
Thank you so much, Ayad. I really appreciate nice tips. And I think that's a really interesting topic, especially for those who are now in their research process. So we have some questions that have been sent before the start of this webinar, because the students have the opportunity to use a link and send the questions in advance. And one of the questions that we got was related to the programs. So do all programs at the university accept transfer students from other accredited institutions?
Typically, yes. There are some guidelines about transfer, because if you want to earn a degree from a certain campus, you can't transfer everything except for a class, for example. Like, you can't study all of your degree somewhere, then your final class you take it somewhere else, then graduate with a degree from that second campus. There are regulations about this, and in a lot of situations they are campus specific. But the general rule is, if you go to a regionally accredited college or university, you should be able to transfer your credit to the new one. This is the general rule. However, each university or college has a degree requirement. So if you studied at a college that has certain classes as requirement for that degree over there, those might not be exactly the same requirements for the degree at the campus you're trying to transfer to. So in that situation, you might lose some. But generally speaking, the general rule is don't worry about this. If you want to transfer, most important thing, make sure that you are enrolled at a regionally accredited university. They kind of like use certain criteria where they help students be able to transfer credit easily and smoothly.
I was wondering, related to this question, what about the international students that would want to transfer from their countries to an international university in the United States? I mean, to a United States. What would they need to consider specifically related to the accreditation?
So international students who want to transfer, they're already studying at a college or university in their home country, and they want to transfer and study at a university or college. Some universities and colleges in the United States don't accept any internationally earned credit. So just very, very simple, straightforward, they would say no, 0 credit will transfer from abroad. Some universities and colleges, they have agreements with specific campuses that they say, okay, for example, here at RCC, we have an agreement with a college in Japan where students can study some credits in Japan, and they can transfer the credit and study with us here at RCC. So sometimes there are agreements that transfer international credit. Sometimes there are more flexible universities and campuses that would accept internationally earned credit. There is no rule about this, but I would just alert us that there are challenges. It is not easy to bring credit earned from abroad to the United States and count that towards earning a degree in the United States. It's not impossible. It's possible, but it's not that easy, because the application and the college choice process is so difficult in the first place. Then after you are admitted, you submit your transcript, then it will be evaluated, then they will decide which credits they transfer, and possibly 0, possibly some, possibly all. I mean, I think it's better not to worry much about this. If you have to repeat a few classes, it might be easier than going to a college that it's not a good option for you just because it will reduce some coursework for you.
So still, they will have to take some additional courses. That means in case if the accreditation doesn't really match, right?
Yes, because requirements might not be the same. The course description might not be sufficient to meet the standards or the requirements of certain degrees. And there are people who are specialized in each campus, and they are evaluators. They evaluate transcripts and they decide if previous coursework is equivalent to coursework at the new college.
That's really good to know, because we struggle with a lot of questions from our students who are maybe, studying currently in a university in our region, and they would just like to transfer. So I think it's good to know for them that they might have to take some additional courses, or they might have to reach to a specific agency, the one that you have mentioned, in this webinar, specifically for accreditation. Okay. So the other question, what steps are being taken to improve or maintain the quality of education for students in the context of accreditation? How these two organizations that you have specified, the U.S. Department of Education and the other institution, how they track this?
So basically, this is the function of accreditation is to maintain quality and to assure that there is a certain standard and value for the degree students earn. In reality, a degree is a piece of paper, but what that piece of paper is, it says that this person has certain skills and abilities in this particular field. So for that document to mean and to be really indicator of certain abilities and knowledge and skills, the accreditation process is there, and it goes through, like I said, it starts with self-study, then field visits, then meeting standards, then reviews. If they're not doing well, they don't have federal funding, they are not listed as an accredited institution, students cannot transfer out with the credit, their degrees are not good for employment. So it's a whole connected matrix, which basically is, they have to do well, otherwise if they don't do well, they don't get recognition.
Totally agree. Thank you so much, Ayad. Thank you. Thank you so much for the details that you have provided and for going over to the process of searching for an accredited university. I really hope that our students will watch after this tutorial and they will use that for in their research process. Thank you once again for the presentation and for the useful information. Thank you guys for being today with us. And hopefully you will use this information, as I've mentioned earlier. I consider this is super valuable because you are not getting this every day. And sometimes you'll have to take a lot of time researching this. And Iyad made sure to compile all this in a really interesting presentation. Thank you, Ayad, once again. I wish you guys a pleasant evening. Please subscribe for our events on February. You have access to our website. You have access to our social media. And stay tuned for our future events. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Shalina, and everybody. Thank you so much. And best of luck, my friends, in your college choice.